Hi, my name's Katie and I'm an embroidery artist. I make miniature embroidered jewelry. One of the questions I get all the time is about fabric. What fabric should you use to make miniature embroidery? First of all, the way that I make my embroidery is from found fabrics or repurposed fabrics. I love going to the thrift store and serendipitously coming across a fabric that I can repurpose into a special tiny treasure. When I walk into a thrift store, I try to head to the men's button-up shirt section. I think that's a great spot to find quality fabrics. Also, the linen area where there's like tablecloths and bed sheets, that kind of thing. You can sometimes find actual fabric that is ready to be used there. And also the women's dresses or shirts as well, I think are some good spots to try to find fabric that will work for your tiny project. This fabric came from a navy blue button-up shirt. It's one of my absolute favorite fabrics and I'm almost out of it. I don't think I've ever run out of any of my fabrics because it just takes so long for me to use them all. But this one is coming close and I just feel so sad because I love it so much. But it has made many beautiful embroidered necklaces and small items. The fabrics that I suggest looking for are cotton or linen. These are both natural fibers, which means that they come from nature. These fabrics have been used for hundreds of years. They're both just tried and true fabrics, and they'll most of the time work perfectly for your miniature embroidered project. There are other fabrics that you will find. Sometimes a blend of linen or cotton with some poly type of fabric. Those are okay. That means that they have been kind of combined with some sort of more plastic fabric. It's just not as high quality. It may not be constructed the same way that cotton or linen will be. You can kind of start to feel the difference between like plastic fabrics and natural fibers like linen and cotton. They have a different feel. And so just pay attention as you're spotting them and finding them, what they feel like in your hand, and that will make the whole process of scouting out the perfect fabric a little bit easier. And sometimes fabric is a little bit misleading. Like I found this fabric, the interfacing is like some synthetic fake plasticky stuff, but the tag doesn't even mention this interfacing. It says 55% linen, 45% cotton. So this outer shell is a blend of natural fibers, but it doesn't disclose this inside one. So you just kind of have to learn as you go. If you are more interested in skipping the hunt and going straight to the embroidery, there's this brand called Robert Kaufman cotton and Essex linen. Those are both really great fabrics that I think work really great for miniature embroidery. That is sold on Etsy and through other like major retailers. I think Michael's and Hobby Lobby would have it. RIP Joanne, they had it. When you do find the fabric that you're interested in, you'll want to note a few different things. The first being, is it woven? Woven means that the fabric has been constructed in a way that the fibers or the threads go vertically and horizontally. This means that the fabric won't be very stretchy and it will stay flat, and I'm not sure what else like physics-wise goes with that. Woven is what you want. With that, you'll also want to make sure that the thickness of the fabric is not too thick or too thin. Too thin being like you can see through it. You might see the back of the embroidery, the threads sticking out through. You won't want that. Or if there's too many gaps, you'll see also the back of your embroidery through, and it will just kind of mess up your embroidery and make it difficult to distinguish. If it's too thick, then it will be kind of difficult to just embroider, and it won't wrap around the base very well. Maybe it will be kind of bunchy. A little bit ago, I shared a shirt that I found on another thrift adventure, and the shirt was 100% linen, but half of the shirt was woven and half of the shirt was knitted. And you could really see the difference in like how the fabric behaves. So for instance, this is the woven side, and you can see like it's not super see-through, it's pretty tightly woven, it's not stretchy, it's not very thick. It's not too thin. This has been a good fabric to use to embroider on. The other half of the shirt though was also 100% linen, but it was knitted and it's really stretchy. You can see through it like really bad, and there's like gaps. This would be really not ideal for miniature embroidered jewelry. A lot of people do stitch like cute baby names onto knitted sweaters or crocheted sweaters. Just for miniature embroidery, it doesn't work as well or as easy. So you'll want to keep your fabric kind of thin. It's kind of hard to express what thickness, but with like cotton or linen, you are able to wrap that around a small base without it being like super bunchy on the front. Imagine if I were to do that with like felt. Like this would not wrap around a tiny base well. There's other ways that you could go about it, but you can see like how much thickness this adds, and it will just stick out from like the pendant base. I would not use something like this thickness to go around a base, like flannel or wool. Like that would be kind of hard. For fabric color, it's totally up to you. You can stitch on any color of fabric, though some fabrics do take a little bit more thought, and sometimes you have to fight to find the right color palette. For instance, this like rusty orange is so beautiful. I find it such a struggle to find colors that look good on it. Sometimes you'll find fabrics that are made out of two different types of thread, like the vertical threads might be white and the horizontal threads might be black. So far away, it looks maybe gray, but up close, you can see that contrast. To me, for miniature embroidery, that's not ideal because you're embroidering something beautiful on top of that, and the background is fighting with each other and making it busy, all of it kind of muddled. So I would say try to find just like a single color. You could totally do patterns, like that could be cool, but that will be something that you'll have to work through. I also recommend finding like lighter shades or darker shades. When you have a dark fabric, that means like light colors and medium colors will pop on it. It'll swallow up dark colors. If you use a light color fabric, then stitching light colors on it will be really low contrast, but a medium or a dark will really pop on it. So just be mindful of that as you are choosing colors for your project. Most of the times you want higher contrast, you want your embroidery to stand out from the background, but those are some like color theory aspects that you just have to play around with to get used to and to learn. A note about white fabric, it's great to stitch on. Your floss shows up very well, especially if you use dark floss contrasting against the fabric, but depending on the base that you're using, you might see the base through it. So we talked a little bit about, can you see your finger through it? And I mean, you can kind of see a color. There's not gappiness. This is a nice fabric, but to combat that see-throughness, I actually make the bases that I wrap my fabric around. And I find using like a mid-tone, like this warm brown, kind of neutralizes like whatever floss is stuck between your embroidery and the base, so that it isn't seen as much. So let's just do an experiment. There's a red piece of floss, and this is the brown side of the base, and now this is the white side of the base. So I believe what you're seeing is that you see it way more against the white versus the brown. What I like to do with my fabric, when I bring it home, I have a lot of them just in a suitcase for me to come to as a resource later. But what I tend to do just to keep some on hand and ready to go is I'll cut them up into like small squares that fit my embroidery hoop, and I'll keep them kind of stashed in a plastic bag like this. This looks kind of sad, but these are all like cut and ready to go. This is like my stash of like mutilated fabric. I kind of want to go through and just pre-cut them all, but you never know, like maybe you'll want to do a bigger project, so I just kind of leave them on their own. One thing like probably better people than me do is iron your fabric. And yeah, that's important in good craft, good principle, I don't. And the reason I don't really is because with my hoop, it stretches the fabric and kind of like teaches it to stay flat anyway. And when you wrap it around a base, it's so tight that like any wrinkle there ever was is gone. However, like if you were to embroider on top of a wrinkle, that's where like there might be a problem. So if you're just not confident with that process, or just like better than me, iron your fabric. At the thrift store, it's also really nice to find items that might have a stain or some blemish that makes them unwearable so that you can give them a second chance. I find that really a sweet part of the story of what you're making. I have had some pushback from some people that are a little bit offended that I do go to thrift stores and find items. Sometimes there is no blemish and I make the choice to cut it up anyway. But I do feel a little bit justified in that we are bombarded with fast fashion and there's so many clothes. And if I take one shirt from the store, I don't feel like I am taking that away from anyone. There's still plenty, maybe too much left over. I mean, go with your own gut and go with your own integrity. For me, since I am using it until it's totally gone, making something beautiful and new to cherish, a new art to express myself with, something to brighten someone's day, I personally don't find that something that bothers me. You just play and you figure it out as you go, and you find things that work for you, find things that you don't care for, and that's where you find your craft. If you do want to learn more about how to make embroidered jewelry, check out the rest of my channel. I have some more tips there, but I also sell miniature tiny embroidery kits that teach you step by step how to make a specific pattern and finish a tiny project, be it necklaces, keychains, bookmarks, or a magnet. So check out my store on Etsy. I hope that this video gave you some insight into picking the right fabric for your project. Thanks so much for watching. Sincerely, Katie of Dandelion Doily.